From tornadoes to hurricanes, blizzards, and everything in between, you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. The Stormfront Freaks are former television meteorologist Mark Massaro, collegiate senior in atmospheric science Brady Harris, digital meteorologist and weather producer for The Lift on the Weather Channel app, Dina Knightley, social media specialist and meteorologist at the Weather Channel, Jen Watson, freelance on-camera meteorologist, speaker, and former meteorologist on the Weather Channel, Kim Cunningham, and I'm your announcer and Skywar Network radio operator, Mark Johnson. Now, here's the moderator of the Stormfront Freaks podcast, amateur storm spotter, Phil Johnson.
All right, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast and Stormfront Freaks Raw. So thank you for listening. And those of you watching us live, this is episode 22.
Yay!
Right?
Woo!
2, baby. Our guest is extreme meteorologist Reed Timmer.
Reed.
We will also be discussing the disparity between weather for the benefit of science versus weather for business and money. So that ought to be a good topic of conversation. And don't forget our favorite weather fools and WX resources. We'll close out with that. So hope you'll stick around with us for the next hour or so. I am getting over this cold crud, whatever it is. So I've got my Barry White voice tonight.
Baby.
So I don't know how long I'm gonna last. But I'm struggling a little bit. But hey, if you're watching our live show, we'll be monitoring Twitter throughout the recording for your questions and comments. So if you do have a question for Reed or one of the freaks, just go ahead and add hashtag Stormfront Freaks to your tweet, and we'll try and share those as we go along. So, Maz, let's go ahead and introduce everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Hey, to our new listeners and viewers, we just kind of want to inform you in advance. We always look and sound a little bit better when we are having a beverage. We'll just call it happy hour, no matter what time it is out there for everybody. So it's always happy hours here with the freaks, just to let you know. So to introduce us with the team, let's kind of find out what everybody is imbibing tonight. Could be water, could be hard water, could be heavy water, which is nuclear or something, isn't it? Anyway, so Phil, are you having what are you having? What do you got, like Vicks or something tonight?
So here's what I'm working on right now. I'm sipping away at a Kroger children's cold and cough bottle.
You're sipping?
And
how much have you sipped,
If you
Phil?
can see how wide that opening is, this is not a wide mouth bottle. But this is what I'm chugging away at right now. And unfortunately, we don't have any grown-up stuff in our house. So I'm sure there's no alcohol in this version of children's cold and cough.
Pharmacist on line one. Pharmacist line one.
Exactly. So I'm being pretty boring tonight, but I think we got Dakota on, so he'll help us out, I think, later.
Awesome. Phil, just give it a 30 minutes. I'm sure it'll kick in, just to let you know. All right, Kim, what do you have?
Well, I have, of course, an IPA, but tonight's beverage is a New Belgium. It's called Citradelic. Can you see it? And it's a tangerine IPA. So I'm getting a little bit of vitamin C in with my IPA here tonight, and it is very tasty. I'm enjoying it with everyone.
Nice.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cheers.
You going to send us all a sample?
I shall.
Awesome.
Ooh.
I shall.
Awesome.
I think you like
Great.
it. You guys can all find it, though. It's New Belgium, so it's everywhere. Okay.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, here's the deal. So I'm going to the beach on Saturday. So, it's my spring break. So I've got I've been trying to keep a very slim figure. And that's why I'm having this Atkins protein shake with 3 grams of net carbs.
Oh my gosh!
No.
I haven't checked.
Got to have the beach body, Brady.
Exactly. There might be some alcohol. I don't know. It's a little crazy, but that's what I'm drinking today.
Yeah, probably not.
Wasn't that a movie, Beach Body Brady?
Beach Body,
that was
Beach Body Brady.
Never mind. Beach Body.
If it hasn't come out, it is coming out in the next year or two.
Well, we'll see it in about a week and a half on YouTube.
Exactly.
Hey, Brady, is that Oprah diet approved?
It's actually a little more extreme than the diet she wanted. The diet she wanted was a little wimpy compared to the one I'm on. So,
all right. All right. Yeah. Hey, Dina, what do you got going on?
Okay, so I'm embracing this whole happy hour thing. And I think it was Phil who said out this tweet the other day with all these like the billboard with weather terms on them, and one of them was a mudslide.
Oh,
So I made one. I haven't
nice.
had one of
Very
these since
nice.
I was in my 20s, and I went and bought everything for it. I made one yesterday to try it out, and I tweeted it. Look at that. It
That
is so
is
good.
nice.
I don't know
Oh
why
my
I haven't had more of
gosh.
these, but boom.
That's a dessert.
It is. And it
I
makes me feel
love it.
really happy.
Get that out of the Dina, please put that down. It's terrible. Oh,
Grady,
You're so mean.
horrible. It tastes like broccoli.
you're evil. You're pure
Tastes
evil.
like broccoli.
Tastes like broccoli.
Oh.
And it's sugar alcohol, so it doesn't count, right? The sugar.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Anyway, all right.
I made
Hey.
it with stevia.
Oh, nice.
No, there you go.
Hey, so I unfortunately decided to give up a wrong time to give up beer and bread for Lent, and so we're back to wine. Just
Wow.
to let you know.
There you go.
okay.
You must not really be a Catholic.
I'm probably one of the only Italian non-Catholics you'll run into. So there you go. Anyway, but no bread either. That was a
Oh,
hard
that's
one.
rough.
That's
Yeah.
Anyway.
tough.
It's a Pinot Noir for tonight. So anyway.
No.
Hey,
Okay.
our guest co-host this episode as part of the National Weather Podcast Month is our co-host from the Weather Junkies podcast, Dakota Smith. Dakota,
Woo.
Hey everyone,
Hey.
thanks for having me.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hey,
Really
Dakota.
appreciate it.
you can tell us more about you later, but what are you drinking right now?
Yeah, so I'm drinking an IPA right here, and Kim,
Beautiful.
I know that you like IPAs as well.
I do.
Yeah, I go to school in Fort Collins, so I go to New Belgium all the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Citradelic is very good.
It
But-
is great.
Yeah, but right here, I actually brewed this beer. We call it the Isobaric
Oh.
IPA. No pressure to drink it.
Oh,
I love it.
that's
Oh
good.
my.
That's
We're
perfect.
such weather geeks, aren't we?
It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
That's awesome. And that is legal in Colorado, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just checking. Isn't
Everything's
everything?
legal in Colorado.
Everything's legal in Colorado. There you go.
Dakota, I knew you would not let us down.
Yeah.
All right, Reed, we know your mom's there, so careful. What are you drinking, buddy?
Yeah, I don't have anything right now, actually.
What?
Yeah,
What?
I'll have to see what my mom has. We actually
Get the
just
man
got
a beverage.
but-
Yeah.
He's gonna have to get some milk.
Well, hey, what was that? What was the movie
Not
where
drinking anything in particular, but
Will Ferrell was like at home with his mom? He's like, "Mom, give me a beer."
Wedding Crashers.
Or
Wait a
Step
second.
Brothers.
yeah.
Way to waste your voice right there, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you forgot MJ. Maz, you forgot MJ.
Oh my gosh, MJ.
Hey, back to kind of a basic here. I'm drinking the Grain Belt Northeast.
Wow.
Great regional name up here. So there you go.
The Northeast.
All right.
Oh, there you go.
I haven't had a grain belt since, well, I can't say when, but anyway.
Right.
Hey, so Dana, it's time to
Yes.
get back to our guests. Why don't you do the big introductions, all right?
All right. Tonight, I'm excited to introduce our special guest, extreme meteorologist Reed Timmer. If you follow storm chasing at all, you've probably heard of him because he's a big deal in storm chasing. Lots of things about him. He's a meteorologist, an author, and storm chaser who starred on Discovery Channel's reality series Storm Chasers. He's the one who had those cool vehicles called the Dominator. Plus, if he isn't an overachiever already, Reed graduated with his PhD in meteorology from Oklahoma University. Currently, he's chasing for AccuWeather. And Reed, I've seen a lot of your stuff, your severe videos. Some of my favorite was back at the beginning of the year when we had the ice storm. They did hashtag Ice Storm 2017. It was incredible. But when you chase all these types of weather, I mean, you got to be on the road. Are you on the road all the time?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the road all the time now. I live out of hotels, and sometimes it takes me 20 minutes to figure out where I am in the morning.
Oh my
I'm-
gosh.
I mean, most of the layouts, most hotels are similar, so I can figure that out at least. But I definitely live on the road a lot more now with chasing with AccuWeather because I'm chasing not only tornadoes but also blizzards and hurricanes and lake effect events and floods, so all different kinds of storms. So I pretty much track the storms as they come in off the Rockies until they exit off the East Coast, and then that could include the warm sector or the cold side if the warm sector isn't as prominent. But I probably should be in the Ozark Mountains right now, but I'm actually on my way to AccuWeather. Then after that, we'll be up in the Northeast for the snow threat, it looks like, this weekend and next week. So
All right.
Living
Lots
the
of driving.
rock star life.
Yeah, I probably drive about 100,000 miles a year, I bet, these days.
Oh my
Wow.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
a lot of it's rental cars as well. I mean, probably dozens of rental cars. I always get the
They
full
let you rent a car?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I tell them what I'm doing, and they usually think I'm joking. So I'm like, I'm going to
I
drive
bet.
this thing into a tornado, and then they all start laughing. And
Do you get the insurance?
oh,
Hopefully.
yeah.
Okay.
Always get the
Definitely.
Good move. Yeah, that's a good move.
Wow.
Now you had.
So how do you take time off then? I mean, when do you take time off? Like vacation? Do you ever?
Yeah, I mean, because if I was taking vacation, I'd probably be storm chasing. So it's,
Yeah.
I guess but usually the quiet periods, I'll try to take time off or in between storm systems a little bit. So, but yeah, not too much time off these days. I mean, especially with this
Yeah, it's
spring
busy.
up ahead. So,
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, you had something happen like when you were driving one time, sort of like a medical emergency. Was
a
that
long
like
time.
this-
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah, like the seizure or something, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
that was scary.
Hmm.
That was that was back. What was that,
Yikes.
3 years ago? But since then, I've started
Oh
to
my
focus
gosh.
a lot more on my health. I think I was taking too many inorganic fast food products and 5-hour energies and
Yeah.
Red Bulls. And
Yeah, that'll do
taurine
it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Reed, growing up, when did you know you kind of wanted to be a storm chaser, and what would you give, a recommendation to anyone that is thinking about going into storm chasing? Or because I know it is a little bit of a tricky field with the media nowadays, because you kind of have to, live off whatever, how good your stuff is. What kind of advice you give to someone going into the field?
Well, I've always loved weather since I was about 5 years old, and I'd always get fired up when storms would get issued. I grew up in Michigan and Grand Rapids, and I loved lake effect snowstorms too. Those are some of the first things I chased once I turned 16. And I didn't plan too far in advance. I just always loved weather, so devoted all my energy and passion toward it since day one for as long as I can remember. Honestly, once I got my driver's license, I realized that I didn't have to wait for the storms to come to me anymore, and I could drive after them. So I started storm chasing right out of the gate, which I wouldn't recommend. I think that's pretty dangerous, And
Yeah, especially in Michigan, where can be a lot of obstructions,
Well,
Oh, yeah,
especially if you have
freezing.
Ohio plates in
I
Michigan.
know.
So-
I was going to say it. I just decided not to.
So I want to hear about Dominator. I think a lot of people want to hear about this vehicle. Was that your idea? Did you develop it? I mean, who made this for you?
Well, we had always gotten close to tornadoes, and I never had much of a research budget in the past. I was always trying to pay my bills and barely scrape by and make ends meet. So I was selling DVDs and selling footage to news media for a few $100s a pop, which and then so a lot of that was, and then when Storm Chasers started, we suddenly had a research budget, and that allowed us to build probes, and we drop an instrument pack in the path of a tornado with a camera on it, and since we were already getting close to tornadoes, and that's one thing that it's kind of an art form that you have to develop over years, I think, to do safely. But then with the research budget, then we began deploying the stationary instrument pack. But we realized how difficult that was to get inside the tornado, because the tornado will change path at the last second, or it's hard to judge exactly where it's going to go, and you have to deploy it a little bit further in advance. So we figured we'd put some armor on our vehicle, and then we'd be a mobile version of that. But my original plan was just to have transparent Lexan coated the vehicle, because I wanted to get really close to the tornado and develop a mobile radar, short-range radar, that we could scan the base of it and measure the wind speeds and suction vortices of tornadoes. So my plan was just to have armor in the vehicle to protect us from close-range debris, and it was going to be transparent Lexan, where you could actually see the vehicle on the inside, and then there'd be instruments for the mobile radar. And then a few months later, I went up and saw the finished product, and we had to end up using metal because the Lexan was so heavy, and it ended up looking exactly just like a vehicle that could drive into a tornado. So we figured, what the hell, we might as well intercept tornadoes directly.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it started. And so then that first season, I know Discovery didn't have the insurance for us to intercept, but we did it anyway. And so every time we'd intercept a tornado, we'd have a little conference call where we'd get in trouble, but secretly they're like, "Oh, this is great, keep doing it, but but don't do it at the same time."
Bad boy.
What's the status of those vehicles now, Reed? Are they still part of your fleet, or did you sell them off, or?
Well, the two of them, they have a lot of miles, and two of them can't be driven. They need some work right now. So we gradually ran out of those resources that we used to have with Discover Days, and they're actually parked at Mike Scantlin's apartment complex right now. So,
Oh my God!
So he's another storm chaser friend of mine. So he's watching out for him. And Dominator 3 though is mobile, and that one's up in Saskatchewan. And Sean Chauffeur is our friend up there that drives that. So we'll have that out later this year. But the people that helped build the Dominator, one of those. Kevin Barton and Todd Daly were two of the people that helped build the Dominator, and we're actually working on another stationary tornado probe now. So I don't really like to drive into the tornadoes anymore. I like to stay just on the outside. So
That's a good idea.
So tell us a little bit about that new probe. I saw you tweet out some video, and what are you making there, and what are you looking to accomplish?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a stationary probe, and it has spikes on the bottom, so it'll be anchored to the ground. And I'm kind of just restarting, getting back into the field science again after a few years of. So I'm starting fresh again, a fresh start. And it's going to have 360-degree cameras on it, and also an arm young anemometer and a pressure sensor. And obviously, the goal is to get it inside a suction vortex, and to measure the wind speeds inside, and also the pressure, and to document the action of those in 360 degrees. So I think it's important to not only have the collected data inside the tornado, but also to have the visual aspect covered. And so end result would be basically a 360-degree video where you can put on a headset and watch it and see what it's like inside the tornado, and then have these time series of the pressure as it falls inside the tornado, and also other variables like the wind speed or the temperature. And I'm going to we'll deploy smaller probes around the outside too that will show that one in action. And so, but Todd Daly is my friend that knows how to weld right now. And I think he's actually working on the probe right now if he's not watching this, but it's back in Michigan. So my plan after chasing this nor'easter up here this weekend through next week in the Northeast is to swing back to Michigan, and then we should have more, we'll install the instruments and also the carbon fiber shell on the exterior. So I'll share more videos then.
So Reed, real quick question here. So is that going to be like a virtual reality thing? Is that something that people can plug in their headsets and actually be in the mix with you?
That would be cool.
That's a moneymaker.
That would be cool, yeah.
Yeah, my son has one of those things.
Yeah, and I think you could, if you could put 360 cameras all over the inside, then maybe they could bounce between the exterior of the vehicle and the inside, and then to the probe once we deploy that, and kind of like a cool 360 experience, but from the comfort of their own home with a headset on too, and could also be a science experience as well.
I would pay for that.
Oh yeah, I would too.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Nice.
Yeah, be all the
You
enjoyment,
pay for a
no
lot
risk.
of things.
Yeah,
You puke on your own floor.
Well, I'll definitely post the video for free though. So I think anyone with a headset, I think you can just watch those online, or I think you just have to get the headset deal. I haven't tried it actually, but a bunch of people at AccuWeather have used them, and we shot that one in Ray, Colorado, and with a 360 mounted on my car, where we got really close to it as well. And I know they've been watching those with the headsets on. So
first one is free. Every one you have to add like 25 cents a minute to keep it going, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good way to pay for gas. I think gas prices are about to skyrocket.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So we talk about AccuWeather. Talk about so do they kind of direct you where to go, or do you get to decide where to go, or is it kind of a mixture of both? Is it do you have freedom in that, or is it kind of what's the relationship between you and AccuWeather?
I definitely decide where to go, but then they give their input too. And there are some times where I'm not sure where to go, and I ask them to tell me, where to go. Like, maybe what's more important? Do they want me to cover the Oroville Dam, and or should I wait for the nor'easter, or do they want me to cover the warm sector, tornado threat in Dixie Alley? And if I inside am leaning toward wanting to chase a tornado threat, then I won't ask. I'll just show up in Dixie Alley, and then it's a really good relationship, I think, in that. And if they want me to chase more, they'll just say, "Can you be a little more aggressive?" And they always know that I know which will be the bigger impact events, I think, and which ones would need more coverage. Like in Dixie Alley at night, I think they need storm spotters out there, so I almost feel an obligation to storm chase those events. A lot of times.
So how many people do you go storm chasing with? Do you have a team?
I just go by myself now. Like for the last 2 or 3 years, I've gone more by myself. Sometimes I'll go with other people, or if Sean, in the Dominator, I'll meet up with him sometimes, or Maria, I went with her a lot, but she's busy with school now so much too. But I prefer going by myself. I kind of like that kind of just you versus the storm kind of thing, or experiencing nature a little bit. And there's nothing like chasing at night, with a 50-mile-an-hour tornado moving at you, with
that's a lot of
lightning
multitasking.
flashes. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I think I have to multitask to a fault. I think I've got one of those disorders.
All right, here's the question for you. I know you've chased all kinds of weather. So what's on your bucket list? I mean, what is it that you haven't seen that you want to experience?
Definitely as many tornadoes as possible, because every single one is different too, and a new, unique experience. So I think I like to experience those over and over and over again, of course. And a water spout was an elusive one that I've been really trying to see for years, and then finally saw one this year, ironically, during a lake effect snow event. So I was trying to target them in the Gulf
How
Coast.
cool.
So on Lake Erie during a lake effect snow warning in November, and I was driving along the New York Thruway near Westville. I looked to the right and saw a wall cloud, and it was playing tricks in my mind. I was like, there's no way that's a wall cloud about to happen. And it started to get smoother, more laminar. Then I hit the gas, accelerated, obviously, what's the next break in the trees? And it was a persistent funnel, and then turned into this cone water spout thing. But I also like to experience maybe some ocean effect and snow in northern Japan, I think. And chase more in the Pampas of Argentina. I went down there in 2009 to chase, but we didn't quite see a tornado. And I know they get big tornadoes down there, so I'd like to go back down there as well.
Cool.
So if you chase by yourself and you chuck a whiskey bottle directly into the tornado without it falling, there's no one to videotape for you.
Yeah, I can shoot myself. That's what I do most of the time. Myself in front of the tornado, so I can toss it. No problem.
Twister number 1.
Wow.
Hey, Dakota. Dakota, hey, you're there too. You got a question for Reed?
Yeah, I guess we always see when you get the big moment, when you succeed and you're in the right spot at the right time. I want to hear about some of the times where something went wrong and it was a dire circumstance, but you pushed through it, and I don't know it's all part of it. So I'm just curious if you could tell us about a story where you kind of pushed through and persisted.
Yeah, well, one thing I've always said is what defines a storm chaser, not the number of tornadoes they see, but the number of busts that they can go through. I think the longer thing is just a natural part. And one thing about storm chasing is you have to get good at dealing with failure, I think, and coping with it, because it happens so often. It's almost like poker, or if you get pocket rockets, you're not guaranteed to win all the time. You can get beaten by 7-2 or worse, or maybe even if you make all the right decisions storm chasing and put yourself in the perfect spot on what the storm that looks like it's moving into the best environment, it doesn't always mean you're going to see a tornado a lot. In fact, most of the time you still won't. And there have been times where I've driven like 35 straight hours all the way up to central Alberta and didn't even see a storm. Or actually worse, I drove all the way 35 straight hours to Alberta, and then I got a $450 speeding ticket.
Oh, man.
Whoa. How fast do you have to be going to get $150?
I tried to play the thing. I was like, I didn't know that it was kilometers per hour, but that doesn't work out. It's actually the other way.
Right.
But this guy came out and had tattoos on his forearms, and he said he could have impounded my vehicle, but I didn't see anything, a car for, that's really flat out there. You can see for 40, 50 miles, it seems like, or I didn't see a vehicle for as long as I could see it. I was driving a Prius, a rental Prius. And there was a tornado warning that was about 15 miles from me. And I thought I was going like 50 miles an hour, but then I looked down and realized I was going a lot faster than that. And I pulled over, but I missed the tornado that day, and then missed the tornado the next day too, because I was too far northwest, and then drove all the way back home. And I think just surviving that bust and still storm chasing after is an example of overcoming failure, I think.
So you were drag racing in a Prius.
Yes.
Giddy up.
Now, can you write that off? Is that a tax deduct? I mean, can you write that off in your taxes as a loss?
I didn't even try. I just tried to move. Yeah, I bet you probably could.
Careful
Yeah.
with that answer.
I wonder. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Somebody may be listening right now.
Yeah.
IRS line 5.
Exactly. So, Reed, I got a question for you. So, I'm planning on going storm chasing in May, and I noticed you had your mom in the background when we began the show. How did you convince her to let you go? Like that, I'm having the toughest time.
Brady, say I'm a man.
I know.
I'm
I'm just saying, it's hard. It's hard. So how do you convince her?
Here she comes. Yeah, so she hadn't gone storm chasing for years. So I'd obviously been storm chasing for almost 20 years, and I was finally graduating after 17 years of continuous enrollment at the University of Oklahoma. So I graduated 2015, and then my mom was flying in, and she didn't know, but there was a storm chasing setup in Northwest Texas. So we picked her up, and I said, "We're going storm chasing," and she said, "No, you're not. Take me to the hotel." And then she didn't have a choice. So then we went in Northwest Texas, and just by chance, there was a multiple vortex wedge coming at us from the south, and
unbelievable.
You're right.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't sneak out the hotel window or anything like that?
Here, you can hear the mic. So
Mom, I'm going to study at my friend's house.
Yeah, so this is her first tornado experience. So tell them what it was like.
I can't even begin to describe it. It was the most frightening thing that I've ever experienced. The noise, debris flying by, and the car was shimmying on the road. Yeah, it wasn't anything I want to repeat.
So how did Reed convince you to let him go when he was younger? Like how did he? What did he do? Did he buy you flowers? Did he get you chocolates? Like how did that work?
How did I convince her to let me go storm chasing?
Yeah.
I just went. Right?
He just went.
Okay.
Brady, just go, man.
I'm gonna be in the doghouse, but it doesn't matter. I'm going for it.
Yeah, she didn't like the hurricanes. Like Hurricane Katrina. We had an experience down there. It involved a rusty dump truck and a high-speed chase of that, and then we were without cell phone communication for a few days. So my mom filed a missing persons report, so she was worried about that.
Oh, wow.
She doesn't mind the tornadoes as much.
No, the hurricanes are worse.
Because she knows I know what I do, or I know what I'm doing around the tornadoes. But crossing the street, is a different thing. But chasing tornadoes, I feel a little more comfortable than.
Yeah. Well, not everybody's trying to leave at the same time for a tornado.
Very true.
Yeah, she said not everybody's trying. Yeah. There's a lot of people are evacuating for the hurricanes, and you're immersed in the conditions too. The storm surge. Right. Once you're there, you kind of it's a different way of chasing it than tornadoes, I think.
So did you ever tell your mom, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to go out with my friends for a week"?
We're just studying.
I didn't go through puberty until I was about 26, so I was applying to look at that, and I collected insects, I identified trees, and so I did sneak out, but it was to chase lake effect snowstorms, not to socialize.
Not to socialize.
That came in my 17 years of college, though. Continuously.
Got to be a record.
Yep.
All right, well, before we get you in any more trouble with your mom, hey, Reed, how can your listeners follow you on social media? How can our listeners?
Thank you. Yeah. You can follow me at Reed Timmer Accu, ACCU, on Twitter and Facebook. So I post on there all the time. They can follow me on there.
Yeah, you have great videos. You're a great follow.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and jump to our lightning round. So our lightning round is our kind of a speed round. It's not really much of a speed round anymore, but it's really a round of fun questions for our guests. And tonight, Reed, my understanding is you are a closet entomologist in a former life. Is that correct?
Yeah, I collected insects all the way until I was like 16 at least, and then I caught an eastern Hercules beetle, and that was it. That was the grand finale.
Did you give it to your mom?
What's that?
Give that big bug to your mom.
Yeah, she love the insect, but I also like to catch snakes, so she wouldn't let me keep those in the
Oh.
But I have my bug collection here, actually. It's upstairs.
Yeah, you started collecting snakes, and next thing you know, your bug collection disappeared. Where the hell was that? So here's what we're gonna do, Reed. Tonight we are playing our version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
I do.
And so what we're gonna do is I've got 5 questions. All right, they're multiple choice questions. There's 4 multiple answers to each, and of course you've got your lifelines. So if you know the lifelines, if you're not sure, you got 50-50. So I'll take 2 of the answers away for you. There's Ask a Freak, so you can pick any of the freaks. You can pick Brady, you can pick Dakota, you can pick Dina or Kim or Maz, and ask them for help. And the third one is Poll the Freaks. So we'll ask all of them, and then you can just figure out what from there. Does that sound good?
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like fun.
All right, and everybody at home can play along with us as well. So here we go. Who wants to be a millionaire? So these are all questions that have to do with insects. All right. Question number 1: which of these is not a type of ant? A, fire ant. B, carpenter ant. C, pharaoh ant. Or D, Elvis ant? Which of these is not? And normally the easier questions are at the beginning, right?
Yeah, I was in the first it's one of the last.
So it's A, fire ant, B, carpenter ant, C, pharaoh ant, or D, Elvis ant. Which is not a type of ant?
I'm guessing C. I'll go with C on that one.
Pharaoh ant?
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Unfortunately, that is not correct.
That's D.
There is a pharaoh ant. It is D, Elvis ant. Because those ants have a little less conversation and wear their blue suede shoes all the time.
20 years out of the game, too.
All right, so yeah, we're not starting off well here, but here we go. We got 4 more, so we're okay.
The King Tut ant.
Next question. What insect kills the most humans each year?
Ooh.
Is it A,
I know this
black widow spiders?
Ooh.
Is it B, mosquitoes? Is it C, scorpions? Or D, assassin bugs?
B.
Mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one. Good one.
Nice.
Very good. All right. Question 3. What insect is more aggressive to sting? Is it A, the bee? Is it B, a hornet? Is it C, a yellow jacket? Or D, a wasp? What insect is more aggressive to sting?
Yellow jacket. Final answer.
Correct.
Really?
It
What
is
is
it is the hornet.
Oh.
The hornet.
I just thought the ones coming out of the ground. I mean, especially if you run over those with a lawnmower.
Oh, God.
I think if you run over any with a lawnmower, they're probably gonna sting you.
Our next
All right.
All
All right, so you're 1 for 3 here, and you still have all 3 of your lifelines, and we're getting into the last 2 questions. They're getting harder. So, question 4: what's a good way to differentiate between a moth and a butterfly? Is it A, the color of their wings? B, their flying speed? C, the shape of their antenna? Or D, their eyes?
C. Final answer.
C, is that your final answer? The shape of their antenna.
Oh.
Correct.
Oh, my gosh.
I would have said color. I would have got it right.
That's what I thought. The wings.
I don't want to look into their eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the moths have the butterflies have a little lobe at the end of the antenna, like the little button thing, and then the
Aww.
moths are
That's so
either
sweet.
lines or they're feathers.
Learn something new every day.
Depending on if they're
Listen
male
to
or
that
female.
smart guy.
So the
Very
males
good. All
are
right.
the-
Last question, question 5. All 3 of your lifelines are still available. See, you can tell why this guy chases alone. He does everything alone, doesn't he?
I think he's smart too, folks. I don't any of the lifelines would have hurt him at this
A
point.
little much in large doses, even for myself.
Okay. All right. Question 5. Last question. What is the rarest insect in the world? Is it A, the land lobster? B, the harvester ant? C, the southern giant darner? Or D, the water boreman? What
I'm
is
have
the
to use my
rarest?
lifelines.
All right, what are you going to do? You got 50-50, ask a freak or pull the freaks.
Can't he use them all?
I can use both. All in the last one, right?
Name those
Which
again, though,
one?
Phil. Name those again.
All right, so you're going to pull the freaks. Is that what you're saying?
I'll first ask one, and then I'll pull.
Okay, ask one. So who are you going to ask? I mean, if whoever you pull, you're gonna
I'll ask Dakota. He looks like a fellow entomologist.
All right, Dakota. what is the
Entomologist,
rarest
I should say.
insect in the world? Is it A, the land lobster, B, the harvester ant, C, southern giant darner, or D, the water boreman? What do you think?
I'm gonna go with A, land lobster, because I don't know. It's
How
a
certain
lobster
are
on land seems pretty rare. So
you followed up with a percentage of certainty?
pretty low. I'll give you 25%.
It's not bad.
All right. Well, it's 1 out of 4.
Yeah,
So,
it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
So Reed, what do you think? What do you think? You're gonna what?
I can pull everybody now, right?
All right, so we're gonna pull everybody. So you got Dakota's answer. Brady, what do you think?
You know, I like lobster a lot, so I'm gonna go with a land lobster.
All right, so he says land lobster. Dina.
Tell me C again.
So it's land lobster, harvester ant, southern giant darner, and water boreman.
I'm going to go with C just because I've never heard of it.
Southern giant darner. Okay, Kim?
I'm going to go with C for that reason as well. I never heard of it.
Okay, so we're 2
we
and
made
2.
it hard for him.
Maz, Maz, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with land shark.
The land lobster?
No. I've heard of land shark. I've never heard of land lobster. So actually, I'm going to say
okay,
land
MJ, do you got an opinion?
I'd go land lobster myself.
All right, so there you go, Reed. What do you think?
Maybe it's rock lobster.
Sounds like land lobster, right?
Is that your final answer?
I'll go land lobster.
Final answer?
Yeah. What's that, mommy? My mom's a science expert.
Very, very
Nice.
good. Well, you finished strong, my friend. Well
land
done.
shark.
So anyway, thanks for having fun with us on that, Reed. Hey, a shout out, by the way, to all of our storm chasing fans. Whether you happen to be an armchair chaser or you like heading out to the storms, SevereStreaming.com by Severe Studios is your resource for live streaming. These guys were the first to offer pro streaming accounts to storm chasers, and they also offered free viewership to the public. But today, they now have over 1,000 storm chasers that have signed up with SevereStreaming.com to broadcast severe weather live in the field. So if you like to watch live streaming of storms, or if you'd like to sell your own storm video to TV stations, think about this before you give it away. Check out SevereStreaming.com. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Our podcast listeners will hear the first edition of our new Titans U Minute with Chris Sanner, featuring storm chasing tips. And our raw viewers, if you're watching us right now, you're going to see us unedited behind the scenes. But don't leave, because we're going to be right back with Reed and the team to discuss why in the movie Twister was Jonas Miller the bad guy for being, quote, in it for the money.
That's right.
We'll be right back. All right. Good job.
Hey, what was it? What was the name of
Nice.
that? What was the name of that again? Severe streaming.
SevereStreaming.com.
Did they launch a new one, a new website? You're having Corey on tomorrow, right?
In 2 weeks. Yeah, in 2 weeks we got Corey on as well. They've got it's a part of Severe Studios, but they've got this website is kind of where anybody that's a chaser can go to that SevereStreaming.com.
Yeah.
And see all their stuff and what they can do. So
it's not like a clearinghouse where you put your video in and.
Well, you can, but you go through them to do it. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
it's, kind of like that. All right. Cool. Hey, Reed, I got one favor to ask you.
Yeah.
While we're quick on break, would you do a quick sound bite for us where you say, hey, this is extreme meteorologist Reed Timmer. You're listening to the Stormfront podcast.
Sure.
Okay.
Right now?
Just say hi. This is Reed Timmer, or this is extreme meteorologist Reed Timmer, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Sure. Hi, this is extreme meteorologist Reed Timmer, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. All right, one sec, I got it. Stormfront Freaks podcast. Hi, this is extreme meteorologist Reed Timmer, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Bingo, cut. That's a take.
It took us 3 weeks, Reed, so don't worry about it.
All right.
Who are like, we're going to be called what?
Stormfront Freaks podcast.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna count in here out of the break. We'll count in and we'll start the discussion topic. The idea behind the discussion topic in Dakota. Again, we didn't have time to tell you this before we started, but yeah, our show is one where, hey, if you got something to say, you just got to jump on somebody, jump over somebody, tell them to shut up, whatever.
Shut your face. I got a question.
Yeah, that's how it works. So just jump in. Don't feel bad.
Unless it's me, feel very bad.
We do make Grady cry a lot.
That's
So.
how we roll.
That's why he has to go to Florida on vacation.
All right. So the discussion topic, I'll come out. I'll kind of set it up a little bit, but the whole idea is talking a little bit about the perception a little bit, and it's probably more of a general public perception, but the perception that people that are into weather for the science and the service of others and all that kind of stuff have a hard time getting along with people that are into weather and they've got a business and they're in it to make money and things of that nature. And there's a couple examples. There's a couple articles I can talk. I'll talk a little bit about that I said on the agenda. But I'll kind of set it up, and then you guys share what you think or share your experience with how that works. Does anybody have questions on that?
What was the middle thing?
I just finished my drink. Can you say the whole thing again?
I mean, your dessert, Dina.
Wait,
Like,
Reed actually had a serious question,
gosh.
guys.
Oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
love it.
Is it just about making money from meteorology or just storm chasing? Or in general?
No, just in general and weather, and because
So just
that's
making money
one
in
area,
general?
Reed, you can talk about. I think you can talk about, out when it comes to storm chasing, people that are out storm chasing for the studies and the science of it and everything else, compared to people that are really out. They're not studying. They're not setting up probes. They're in it strictly to get the video to sell or the tours, storm chasing tours,
like everybody, I guess.
Right. So if you can talk a little bit about that. I know on Weather Brains last week they had a guy on from MetLoop, and we actually had someone from MetLoop on very early last year. But that's a company that's now issuing their own severe weather warnings, separate from National Weather Service. And sometimes it might be the same, but sometimes it might be different. And so what's the challenge with that? But also to me, there's a benefit to that because they're also pushing the National Weather Service to keep getting better.
Competition.
Their polygons and stuff. And I think competition helps people get better.
Yeah.
So that's what we can talk about. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, those are good topics.
All right. So let's get started. So MJ, my voice is starting to go. So this is probably
I can hear that.
Is all I've got.
More cough syrup.
I'm out of wine.
Can you hear it?
All right.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
All right, ready?
All right, go ahead and count me in.
All right,
Hold on,
here we go.
hold on,
Wait. Hit the
All
cough
right, my
button.
smoker's hack. I got to get that out.
All right. All right, here we go in 3, 2.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our topic of discussion tonight. My Barry White voice is really getting nice and low and edgy.
We like it, and we like it.
So a lot of you all remember that scene in Twister when the late Bill Paxton's character, Bill Harding, introduces us to Jonas Miller. So he was the bad guy, right? He was the guy that, quote, went out and got corporate sponsors and is in it for the money, not the science, unquote. So tell me, I guess, why does it seem people in the weather and academic and service industry don't seem to get along with people in the business industry. And I'll share one article from CNBC. It was called "Weather Services Become a Big Business." And there are two things I wanted to bring up in the article. Number one, it said the National Weather Service issues data to support the entire economy. And quote, "We have a laser-like focus on public safety," said Edward Johnson, the director of National Weather Service Strategic Planning. But quote, he said, "We don't believe it's our job to provide packaged information for an individual manufacturer." Well, the article went on to also say, it said, while only government has the means to build and operate a vast weather infrastructure of satellites and radar, WeatherBank CEO Steve Root says there are things that private industry does that it can do faster, quicker, sweeter, and better than the government. The North American weather enterprise produces content unrivaled elsewhere in the world. So, guys, what's the issue between weather for science and weather for business?
Money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, money and also competition. I think, between the people doing it for research and the people doing it, for business, I think to some degree they're competing against each other. And I think to some degree, especially now, you see with, the new administration, they're reducing funding for NOAA. And part of the reason, why that's happening sort of is because, there might be, not saying there definitely, isn't, but there might be other alternatives that are out there. And so that's why they don't like that, because it's competition. And also at the same time too, on the other side of the coin, sometimes these are businesses, they have to meet their bottom line. So public safety isn't their number one. And so at the same time, that's, the other side of the coin as well.
Well, say you're an electric company and you've got meteorologists on staff who could tell you when there's a big storm coming. So you can mobilize your people, you can have them ready, you can have supplies ready. So when power lines go down, people are out there immediately to get power back up. They don't care about something going on the other side of the country. They want just what they want to know. They want it packaged exactly to people who don't know weather, that says, this is what's going to happen. You must do this and you must do that. That's all they really want to know. And it saves them millions of dollars.
I think the Weather Service too issues the warnings by county and the watches, and the large polygons. But many times, maybe a company would want to know if there's a tornado within 100 miles or a tornado within 50 miles. And I think the private sector is able to take the National Weather Service data and the forecasts and repackage that into forecasts that are maybe tailored for certain industries, and that aren't maybe not tailored specifically for the safety of certain individuals, but maybe the safety of whole companies or shipping lanes or railroads, and maybe they just need to know different parameters or different types of data. So.
Yeah, Reed, and I think you make a good point, Reed, because I feel like, for the two industries really to have the impact that they want and to, do the most good for the public, I think they need to get along, because, just like you said, if the private industries aren't using the National Weather Service, they're an unbelievable amount of data that they, can gather based, because of their resources, then what data are they using? So I think, that divide that it does exist, I think, we got to try and work to bridge the gap. And it already is happening in some extents, but we need to continue, getting these two sides to come together.
Yeah, and there's also a gap too in the storm chasing industry as well, and between that and academics and maybe even the media as well, and also with emergency managers especially. And more recently, there were issues with between storm chasers and they aren't always looked at in a positive light. Many are complaining about the numbers of storm chasers out there, but I do think it's important to focus on the positive as well, because the more storm chasers that are out there, it's almost impossible for a tornado to happen and go unreported these days. So I think that's the most important part, is that the people in the path of these storms are getting warned, and when the tornadoes touch down, everybody knows that they're in progress through social media and live streams and everything. But I agree, if everybody got along, that'd be the best part. And we also need to realize that everybody has to pay bills and that they have expenses, and everybody needs resources to storm chase, and gas is expensive, hotels are expensive, and there are people that are doing it for science, but they may have grants or research, and if they lost those, and had to fund their research by selling footage to different news outlets for $200 a pop, then they might understand the other side a little more. And I think that it's important to know that everybody does need resources to do things, and so to not look negatively on people if their goal is to make money initially. They may have to survive. You don't know. Everybody has different financial situations, and but I agree that everybody working together is. It'd be awesome if all storm chasers and all researchers and everybody were fully funded, and the sky would be the limit for research. But I think everybody working together definitely would create the best end result for research and the warning process.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before Vegas gets involved and you have a probability of a tornado with a certain period, 10 miles, 20 miles.
Putting bets down.
Just saying.
No, Maz, I think you have a gambling problem, Maz.
No, I don't.
I was going to jump in there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dakota.
Yeah, so I think there is a point of contention here, but I think reasonable people on each end of the spectrum realize that you need each other in this industry to best educate the public, best warn the public, and best protect lives and property. And I think it's the times where it becomes contentious is when someone kind of steps out of line, per se. The one big area of contention is when there's like a big storm on the horizon, like 6 or 7 days out, and someone's hyping it so that they get clicks. That's an area where, like, you can probably say you shouldn't be doing that because our models aren't good enough to have the exact inch amount of snow for one location. And that's just one example. There are other examples, but I think for the most part, people do recognize that this harmony needs to exist. And I was at the AMS conference in January, American Meteorological Society conference in Seattle, and you go there and it's a big party. Everyone's talking, everyone's having a good time. And so, yeah, I think while there is some contention, I think it's definitely recognized that we all got to get along.
What I know, Dakota, you guys on Weather Junkies just had the director of the National Weather Service on. Was that brought up at all as far as how they're trying to advance and if businesses are helping to push them or if it's creating contention?
We actually didn't. No, not really. I mean, the one thing we did talk about was how the National Weather Service is weeding through in this day and age when there's so much information being pushed out, and not all of it is good information. He mentioned how they're trying to improve their communications by revamping their website. They're going through the hazard simplification project, where they're trying to reduce the amount of colors in their watches and warnings and reduce the amount of warnings that they have in general. So that was the only part we touched on was kind of weeding through some of the bad information while also recognizing there is a lot of good information that's not National Weather Service, that's AccuWeather or Weather Channel, for instance.
Yeah, I just wonder how many people that are not meteorologists or involved in business really use the National Weather Service data, though. I mean, I like the idea of competition, but who clicks on their websites besides meteorologists who kind of want a good feel for what's going on? I mean, anybody have any thoughts on that?
I bet a lot of people use that data, and a lot of companies probably are using that data and maybe aren't even aware of it. I think that the National Weather Service data obviously bases almost all most of the private weather products out there. I think after they of course they would repackage it, but in terms of the radar, the satellite, the forecast model data, and then a lot of times those are there are different graphics packages that can make the models look different. But I think that they definitely need each other, and without the National Weather Service, we'd have big problems. Obviously,
I need it as a base. Yeah. Absolutely,
definitely.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, absolutely, the best weather service out there, and I've storm chased a lot in Canada over the years as well, and it's just we're very blessed, I think, to have the amazing radar, the high-res radar, these models, like now they have the HRRR, the 4-kilometer and 3-kilometer NAM, and they're, those tools that I think are great for storm chasers and everybody to look and to have access to that, whether a company or a user, I think is awesome too.
So what are your guys' thoughts on companies and now even television stations that, again, trying to have the edge, and Maz, you've talked about this too in the past, but TV stations trying to have the edge and trying to do a better job of pinpointing severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings and getting more specific than the NWS polygons, that they're basically now issuing their own alerts or warnings. What do you think about that? Pluses and minuses.
Well, you're already starting to see that with weather apps. Every station is getting their own apps. So some of them are broadcasting on their app even before the newscast comes on to get an edge over the competition. So at one point in time, is there no longer a need for the actual broadcast?
Yeah. And I think, too, it comes down to, who is really behind these warnings. Like, if you have an experienced television meteorologist that, has been doing it for, years in the same area and has a really good feel on the radar, I think that can be okay. I think it can get confusing when they start putting out their own warnings. I think, where they have a huge advantage is in, showing the radar and getting in depth on the neighborhood that the tornado is in. I think that's huge value they can add to the customer. And also, that's one of those cooperation pieces that the National Weather Service necessarily can't do. Having said that, though, if you get a guy with the wrong experience with maybe only a year, he's just out of college and he's put in that situation, which can happen at a smaller TV station. I think that can be actually, very dangerous because he's, might not be the most experienced and he might, be putting, his own polygon in areas that really shouldn't have that polygon. And I think that can do a lot of harm. So that's where I don't necessarily think, that they should be putting out their own warnings. So I think it really comes down to the person behind, the screen or the person that's issuing these warnings.
Brady, have you done that yet?
No, not yet. Not yet. We'll see.
It almost seems like you just want to add on to the warning from the National Weather Service, because you can have a warning in a certain county and then you pick it up from there. You zoom in with the radar. You get the tight high-res radar. You show where the hook is. You show, like the National Weather Service, where you tell you the direction and the speed. So you time it out, show what neighborhood it's going to hit next. So it's all, there's where you got to really work together, because the National Weather Service, they're covering the whole country. Granted, you have regional offices, but they're not going to get down to the county and start showing you, where it's going. They're just going to give you the basics. This is the direction. This is the speed. Now you have your on-camera person go and explain it. Tell them what the impacts are. Okay, yeah, it's coming to my neighborhood in 10 minutes, but what am I going to expect in 10 minutes?
Well, there are times like when you're looking at the radar, you're on the air, you've got it right in front of you, and you're watching the new scan come in, and you see all of a sudden there's a couplet. Well, you could talk about this, say, oh my, wow, we're seeing this right here. We maybe have a circulation. And, 5 minutes later, then you get a tornado warning. So definitely, if you know what you're talking about, I agree, Brady, that there's no reason why you couldn't suggest a warning or say, there's going to be a tornado developing, because you're seeing it instantaneously more. You're quicker than when the National Weather Service is getting that warning out.
Yeah. And at the same time, too, I think you can use your experience to say, maybe there isn't necessarily, I think you have to be really careful about saying like there's a tornado on the ground, or, I think if there was, because in Ohio, we have a bunch of squall lines that come through that, they might issue a tornado warning for it. And it turns out to be a false alarm. And I think not that you should say, hey, this is probably a false alarm, but you should say, hey, we don't necessarily know there, we haven't seen a tornado on the ground. It's not confirmed yet. Because I was talking to my aunt the other day. She's like, yeah, when a tornado warning, happens in Ohio, I didn't even pay attention to it because we never get one. So I think it's very important to have that, once again, person that knows what they're talking about and that can add that value that really, builds up that kind of trust behind the scenes.
Tell her we just had one last week, by the way.
I will. She doesn't
from my
believe
house.
me. No, she.
Yeah.
Oh God.
She doesn't believe me.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, listeners and viewers, we always want you guys to tell us what you think. You can send us an email with your comments to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com, and we'll share some of those on the next show. So have you been out chasing or spotting storms and had people looking at you, wondering what you were doing? Reed, you've probably had that a few times, right? You feel a little naked. Well, feel naked no more, because Severe Weather Center and weatherproshop.com literally have you covered with a stylish Skywarn clothing line of performance material shirts and OGO Flex fitted caps. They all sport the cool Skywarn logo. Or better yet, let weatherproshop.com do the heavy lifting for your chase team or your spotter organization with custom apparel and photo IDs. So show the world you're on official business, and don't get caught near a storm without weatherproshop.com's NOAA-derived quick reference and training guides for both spotters and net controllers. You can see it all at weatherproshop.com.
Wait, was that just a commercial?
That sounds like some sweet weather swag. I'm gonna have to go there.
Check it out. They got some cool stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and take our final quick break so our listeners can hear Brady's Storm School. The rest of you watching can refill your drinks, and when we come back, it's time for Weather Fools and WX Resources. And those of you watching us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, thanks for tuning in to our show tonight. You can catch more of Stormfront Freaks podcast at our website, www.stormfrontfreaks.com, where you'll find previous shows, links to our videos, as well as ways to contact us. Thanks again for watching, and tune in again next week. MJ, roll it.
Thank you for listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. To subscribe and be notified when new episodes of our bi-weekly show are available, you can go to iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite podcast app and search for Stormfront Freaks. If you would like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, shoot us an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or follow us on Twitter @StormfrontFreaks. We'd love to hear from you. For show notes, additional information about this episode, as well as past and upcoming shows, videos, photos, and more, visit our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. While you're there, check out the interactive radar provided by our friends at zoomradar.com, providing interactive weather content for web, mobile, and digital displays at cost-effective prices. zoomradar.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/stormfrontfreaks. Join us next time and tell a friend about the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
All right. So
Boom.
if you're still watching, that was finished our Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. We cut off at that point. But those of you watching us on YouTube, you guys can keep watching because we're not done.
MJ, you were like Ed McMahon there.
Whoa.
That was
Yes. You are
Who's
correct,
Ed
sir.
McMahon?
You are
Is
correct,
it-
sir.
Yes. Who's that generational thing?
Yeah.
I
oh,
don't really get that.
That is, yeah. You and Dakota
Right.
probably.
millennials.
All right. So let's just do this. We'll keep rolling here. When we come out of the break, Brady, go ahead and take it right out of the break with Weather Fools. Who has a Weather Fool to share?
I do.
I do.
Me, I do too.
All right.
Right.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Coda, Dina, and good old Brady. All right, sweet.
See, there's a severe thunderstorm warning in Fayetteville right now.
Oh,
They're
Uh-oh.
getting hammered. Big supercell.
Do you got to go?
I don't think he's going to make it there.
Fire up the teleport machine.
one day, Reed.
One day, yeah.
$450 speeding ticket. Come on.
Oh man, where did you get that? By the way,
It's in the middle of nowhere, southeast of Edmonton in Alberta. So
you were in. So is it like a county mountie?
The Canadian
Yeah.
dollars.
It's fucking Canadian
it
mountain.
wasn't on a horse.
Was he on a horse?
Savage.
County
I mean,
Mountain.
yeah, it usually does. I mean, because I was used to driving in the Dominator all year, and then suddenly I was in a Prius, so I was riding so smooth, I didn't even have any idea I was going that
Yeah.
fast.
Prius was smooth.
Stick with
If
that
you're on one
story.
of those long open roads like that, it's happened to me in Texas. Like
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
just
yeah.
a long open road where you could die and no one would find you.
All right.
You look
Dina,
down, you're going
is yours
100.
a video? Is your Weather Fool a video?
My Weather Fool is a video.
So you're going to share your screen. Dakota, is yours a
Yeah.
video or photo?
Yeah, I guess it is a video. I
Is
don't
it
have to
something
share
you
it though.
Okay. That's
I can just
fine.
talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. You can just talk about it.
Didn't
Remember,
your parents teach you to share?
Nope.
Remember, I just want everybody to remember, if you're showing a video, remember you have to be explaining it while you're showing it, because the audio podcast, they're not watching it. So just a reminder of that.
And also remember to unshare your screen when you're done, to hit the stop button. So
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, who has weather resources?
I do.
I
Wait.
can if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome.
All right.
So what was that? Dakota, Kim,
Kim and Dina.
Dina.
Dakota.
I was going to throw out a weather resource. Was going to be Reed's book, Into the Storm.
Yeah.
You want me to throw that out there, Reed?
Yeah,
for it.
I'll put you out last.
All right.
That one.
I saw it had great reviews, Reed. I mean, like 5. Bunch of 5s out of, yeah, it was awesome on Amazon.
By the way, Reed, did you get married on a volcano?
Yeah, down in Nicaragua.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. I was going to ask you that, and I was going to be like, I just never had a chance.
That's
where
hot.
she's from.
That's
so
hot.
She's got a lot of family down there.
Wow.
In a volcano?
That's very.
In the
Right,
volcano.
they live close to. There's all volcanoes all over it. They were erupting too. They had all kinds of scares and everything.
Oh my gosh.
Like last year or so.
Wow.
Hey, Reed, did you want to add to like a weather resource or share a website you like to use a lot, or a equipment that you like to chase with, or an app, or?
I'll share. I can share a good weather resource. I probably have to share an AccuWeather one, I think, but
Yep. Do it.
Probably be smart.
That's fine. You can do that.
Okay.
okay.
I'll put them in there. I can't believe I haven't worked Boomer Sooner in yet, right? Because you're
definitely.
Because I'm a corn husker.
I'll put them in as a resource.
Ooh.
I was at
All
that
right.
2001 game, the one with Crouch.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You guys went up 14-0. That was a turning point.
Okay. Let's get back.
All right,
All
ready to go?
So let's get started. Hey, Maz, I'm going to go ahead and I'll close up. I think I'm doing
that's cool.
good enough to be able to do that.
Good.
So Brady, you're taking it right out of the break,
Right.
and then don't forget to explain what it is to everybody. And then at the end, that you can find it in the show notes, and then turn it over to Maz. Maz, you take it. Remind everybody, find it in the show notes, and I'll go from there.
Cool.
Gotcha.
All right, MJ, count Brady in.
All right, here we go. Brady in 3, 2.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Now we're going to get into everyone's favorite part of the show, Weather Fools, where we go into some people that may have done some sort of silly or not really smart things when it comes to weather. Some of our videos, some of it is just some stories about someone we know or someone we saw on TV. We'll have everything in the show notes afterwards. But Dakota, what is your weather fool this week?
So I'm kind of hijacking the weather fool thing here because mine's actually a climate fool. It is the head of the EPA, Scott Pruitt, today said that CO2 is not a primary driver of climate, which blows my mind because
Mine too.
I TA a 100 level climate change class, Colorado State. And the undergrads in that class know that CO2 is a primary driver of climate in the past and currently. And this guy, is in charge of protecting our air, our land, our water, and it blows my mind and kind of upsets me. So that's my climate fool.
Must not have taken that class, huh, Dakota? All right, Dina, what's your weather fool this week?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. There we go. All right, so this is how you get snow off your car. It's called base snow removal. So this is when you have your stereo up so loud with the bass that the snow comes off your car. Now, there's a part of this where I thought he was genius, but it's when you see the end, you'll see that it's a weather fool. Because as you watch this video, he gets the snow all over the car, but he turns the bass up, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom!
Oh my gosh!
Oh, look at that.
And if you look at this video, you have to watch this video. You see like the hatchback, it's just shaking. Like it's not even solid anymore.
That's where the
but what I thought,
back there.
oh my God, this was so funny because here, but then he's got a kid in there.
Oh,
that's why he's a weather fool. The kid's going to go deaf.
Oh my God.
So that's why I thought it's a weather fool. First, I thought it was genius, and I'm like, nah, weather fool.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's a mom.
I agree. You know,
I'm a mom.
Dina, now that I saw that, I'm definitely going to have to try that. Although I don't think I'll get a chance in Ohio. You never know, especially with what's coming. But that was great.
Yeah.
If it was the
You might get
70s,
some-
we'd have
a little bit of, a little
Yeah,
bit.
but I'll be tonight maybe, but then I'll be out of town by the time Tuesday rolls around. So.
Okay.
But anyway, so my weather fool this week. So you guys may have seen the new trailer that just came out for Geostorm. Now, as exciting as it does look, let me just show you this trailer. It's basically a souped up version of The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this time we're
gosh.
controlling the weather. So that was the wrong trailer. Oh wait, no, that's
We
the right
control
trailer.
the weather? Is that what you said?
No. So basically, we have like these satellites that we're controlling the weather and making everything like California weather, basically, and then something goes wrong. And then all of a sudden these massive tornadoes, hurricanes, mega storms just tear everything up.
Wow.
You go to that. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Wall of water,
So it's
basically.
taking cloud seeding to a whole new level.
Yeah, it's just, 100-foot wall of water just destroying buildings,
Awesome.
crows falling out of the sky. It's
Lots of graphical work
looks
by
pretty
graphic.
awesome, but the scientist in me just says no. So that was my weather fool.
It'll probably make tons of money though.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know it will. I mean, Sharknado made all that money. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
coming,
I'll tell you
coming.
what, guys. You can find all that stuff in our show notes at stormfrontfreaks.com. Maz, take us through WX resources.
Awesome. For those of you who don't know what that is, they're cool sites that you can find, sometimes the latest technology, sometimes just a newer way of showing something. We love it because then we end up using some new stuff on our morning stuff that we look at. So, Dina, what's the new stuff that you have for us?
Okay, so this is going to be good because Brady probably knows about this, but he can use it. It's from the National Weather Service. It's the ripcurrents.noaa.gov/forecasts. So I kind of thought about this. I'd like to use apps and things, but because everybody's going to be on spring break here soon, you can get your beach and rip current forecast.
That's good.
And I didn't find an app equivalent, but you can just use it on the browser and just save it as a bookmark. So say, Brady goes down to Florida. He wants to look at it. He can get the max temperature, the winds, the surf. You get the UV index. You get the rip current, which is a big deal. So whether it's low, medium, or high. And it gives you, most of the time, this all gives you water temperature, high and low tides. And you can get it for, all up and down the coast, the Gulf, the Great Lakes, and the West. So whether you're headed out to vacation or just want to go to the beach, that's a really good one because, a lot of times, like we always go away for a beach vacation and you see like the sign as you enter the beach with the colored flags, like the yellow or the red, if it's a red flag flying, that's a high rip current. Things like that. Normally they'll give you the colors right there on the sign, but a lot of times like you'll be sitting in your hotel and you see the red flag flying. You kind of know. So you could check, you could just save this right on your phone or bookmark it on your computer and look at it right there. I think it's a really good resource.
Cool. Hot tub forecast too, right? When you're on vacation.
Yeah. Okay,
Very
that's
cool.
it.
All right. Thank you. Let's go. Hey, Dakota, you got something for us?
Yeah, fellow podcasters over at Weather Hype, Min and Castle. I'm going to plug their podcast because they're awesome, and they do kind of a podcast in a different way. They talk a lot about social sciences and how it impacts weather forecasts, and you can find them at weatherhypepodcast.com, and you can find their podcast on Google Play, iTunes, Blueberry, whatever you use. So yeah, shout out to Weather Hype.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Sweet.
Kim, what do you have for weather resources?
All right, I have ustornadoes.com, and let's see here. Can you see it?
Why don't you tell us about it?
Okay. It's ustornadoes.com, and it's really a great website because you can actually see where tornadoes this year have already touched down around the country, but also you can look at climatology for tornadoes. It's like your All Tornadoes website, and also the history of tornadoes. I just went in and did a search on the April 3rd, 1974 super outbreak, and there was a nice article written about that. So all the big outbreaks are in this. Your forecast from the Storm Prediction Center's in here, as well as climatology by state for tornadoes, satellite imagery. I mean, all great stuff. If you're into tornadoes, this is a pretty decent site. And Catherine Provis, which I think you guys had her on, she's actually one of the meteorologists who contributes to that website. So it's really a great one, I think.
What's that site called again?
It's ustornadoes.com.
Got it. Cool. Awesome. Reed, man of the hour. What do you got for us?
Well, a few things. First, for those that want to, so especially, a tool that I use a lot when I'm forecasting is the SPC mesoanalysis page. First of all, I think that's a really good. And also, those that want to get a 360-degree camera, 360 Fly are the cameras that I use, and you can just hook them right up to a suction cup mount. You can get them at Best Buy or anything, and then stamp the suction cup mount on top of your vehicle, then shoot some pretty amazing 360
cool.
during storm season. So,
how much they cost?
Yeah, how much?
Yeah,
they're a few $100s, so they're about the same price as a GoPro, but then you
Keep
can
the
shoot
receipt.
360. And I even
In case
use it a
it
lot
falls
of
off
times.
and breaks.
Yeah, while I'm storm chasing too, I'm going down the road, and
I don't know what happened to it. It came like that out of the box.
there you go, Dina.
So, Reed, question: do the cameras stay mounted when you're driving 130 miles an hour in Canada?
On a Prius.
I have lost a few actually, but I was in tornadic winds, not from speeding that fast.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
they can get ripped off sometimes. But I think the good thing is that the perfect spherical shape doesn't get gripped too much by the wind. So
The
they're perfect for
sphericality.
high speed.
Yeah.
Suction cup failure. Anyway, all right, Phil.
All right, so I'm going to do a little plug for our guest tonight, Reed Timmer. Reed, back in 2011, was part of a book. He co-wrote a book called Into the Storm. And if you were a fan of the Discovery Channel's Storm Chasers series, this is a great follow-up book because it really talks a lot about some of those tornadoes that he intercepted. Talks and the setups to those. There's a lot of neat education involved in it as well. So if you like to learn more about tornadoes and storms, do a great job of adding some education to that as well. So the book is called Into the Storm. And again, that's co-authored by Reed Timmer.
Nice.
Dope.
Looks great.
Cool.
Looks lit.
Royalty?
As the kids
Royalty.
say.
It looks
lit. Exactly.
Savage.
All right, Phil.
Yes.
You're still muted.
Yeah, I am still muted. Yes, my beautiful voice is going strong tonight. Yeah. So if you want more information or you want the websites to those, just go to our website, stormfrontfreaks.com, and check out the show notes for episode 22. They'll all be on there. MJ, do we have any listener or viewer questions or comments?
Yes, sir. We have one that came in here a couple days ago from Jimmy Burgess, one of our listeners or viewers. I know he's chimed in before, and I'm going to poll the audience, poll the freaks here, and see who knows the answer to his question.
Okay.
What's the longest track tornado on the ground in the history of the United States?
Wow.
Does anybody know this?
Wow. Is
It's
that
a
the Illinois one? Tri-State. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. 209 miles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, actually I'm seeing 218, but I think that's the one,
Okay.
that I think that's one you guys are talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job, Reed.
What year
There you
was
go.
that?
Good job.
There you go, Reed.
What year?
All right.
What year was that?
It was,
Do you know it?
go ahead. Yeah.
I think 1925.
Yeah, it was March
I think
18.
29.
March
Were
18.
Were you chasing?
1925.
Were you chasing for that reason?
No, this most recent one, a few weeks ago, the Tuesday night tornado was really close to the tri-state tornado path. There was 2 bi-state tornadoes, but there was and there was actually a house that was destroyed in the 1925 tri-state tornado that was damaged again by the one this last February.
Oh, you're kidding! Wow.
You could give up at that point in time. Be like, just move someplace else.
Seriously though.
All right. Well, hey guys, that about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast and Stormfront Freaks Raw. Thanks for listening and watching. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a review on iTunes so others like you can find us. We want to give a special thanks to our guest, Reed Timmer. Reed, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Awesome.
And we also want to put a shout out to our National Weather Podcast Month guest co-host Dakota Smith. But Dakota, tell us a little bit about your Weather Junkies podcast.
Yeah, so we do it every week. It's about an hour long. Me and Tyler Jankowski, who's an on-air meteorologist in upstate New York, and we have a guest on every week. This week we had Louis Uccellini, director of the National Weather Service, on. And next week, we're having a bunch of members from each podcast on. So it's going to be like all the podcasts colliding. And we do it right before this show. And it was a relief to come on this show because it's the most entertaining one. And coming from that, I was like, oh, man, I can
We do drink on
fun
this
now,
show.
Here's your $1.
Yeah, so yeah.
There we go.
All right.
You can see us, find everything at theweatherjunkies.com.
Awesome.
Cool. And
Awesome.
Thanks for
Thanks,
joining
Dakota.
us.
Thank you
I
for having me.
definitely,
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys have a great show there. I certainly love listening to you guys as well. So
Thank you.
Our next episode is in 2 weeks. It's on March 23rd, 9:00 Eastern, 8 Central, and we'll be with storm chaser and owner of Severe Studios, Corey Hartman. And again, as part of National Weather Podcast Month, we will have a guest co-host from the Weather Brains podcast. Bill Murray will be with us. So go to stormfrontfreaks.com if you'd like to watch it live. And so for MJ and Maz and Brady and Dina, Dakota, Reed, and Kim, I'm going to go ahead and signal the all clear, and we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.